That's such a short intro. I love it. Hello.
Over here jamming. I was ready for it to keep going.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to You've Got a Thing, brought to you by the Milwaukee Theater Alliance. I'm Jill Anna Ponasik, and I am so excited to be here today to talk to Katie Cummings of Pink Umbrella. Katie, hello. How are you holding up?
It's opening night, right? Like it was Tech Week. We're opening today. I'm great.
That's fantastic. You're here. You're present. That's wonderful. Truly wonderful. I know, like, we always talk about silver linings, right, as some sort of comfort in this incredibly challenging, grief-ridden, despairing year. But I have to say that one of my silver linings has been the opportunity to get to know you and even work with you on a few initiatives and develop some ideas together, and to get to know your company better. And I'm so grateful you're here in Milwaukee and that you're doing what you're doing, and that I have had a chance to sort of slow down and pay attention. So thank you for that.
Thank you. That's so nice. Oh my goodness.
Would you like to tell us about your thing?
Yeah.
Thing that's opening.
Yeah. So it is Pink Umbrella's very first production. I never thought, 2.5 years ago when this company started, like, our first show is going to be an online scavenger hunt. That was not in my wheelhouse, but I'm so happy that it is. So the play is called Scavengers. It is an interactive play. It is designed specifically for young people ages 4 to 10 and their grown-ups to experience in their home. It's all virtual. We have hired 4 actors who identify with a disability as our Webster the duck, Scout the rabbit, Maxie the dog, and Tumble the turtle. And they are on their way to plant a garden, a friendship garden, and their seeds go missing. And it's a good thing that Webster the duck is super brainy, because she has created a plan B, and that is where our audience members come in. So pink packets have been sent to homes. Yes, you have one. I know. Isn't it so exciting?
It came in the mail yesterday.
Did you open it yet?
Yes. Am I allowed to show things?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
All this cool stuff was in the pink packet.
Yeah. So the bags that Juliana is showing now, those will be hidden, right, for your child to go on the hunt.
I'm running out of hands.
The little burlap, bag, the green one. The little burlap bag is our sensory packet. So we teach a lot of classes. The participants will in that burlap bag that Juliana has are things like a little mossy rock, their leaves, their twigs from the forest. These are all of Tumble's favorite things. And then there's 2 items in there that smell. One smells like berries and one smells like the pine forest. And so what we're hoping is that we're hoping to create just a little bit of magic in the homes, since we are and have been in our homes sheltering safely, right? But for 11 months. So we wanted to create an environment and something that that could bring just a little bit of magic back to our houses where we've been, and then that's where the scavenger hunt idea kind of came into play too. So we wanted to kind of like a holiday morning, right? Hide the items around the house and right before the show starts, and then have the children, run from room to room to find the things. And then they have to put the puzzle together to find the seeds for our friends, so that they can plant their garden. So it's about a 45-minute interactive play. We want the grown-ups to play too. Yesterday we had a test audience, and one of the grown-ups decided to just kind of sit back, and the character made sure that grown-up got up and went to go find those things, along with their child. So, it's just a lot of fun, and it's a really beautiful story about friendship and accepting people for who they are and what they bring, to the group.
I am so excited. I can't remember what performance we got tickets for, but because time is meaningless. But I can't wait. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah.
I love the way that you're responding to the moment, and I love that you developed original content and that you're working with 4 actors. I know in your eyes, in your face when you talk about it, I see the surprise of the joyride, the nonprofit joyride of like, we're actually doing the thing that we articulated we wanted to do. And it's so exciting to be like signing those checks and working with those artists. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that journey? Deciding to do this play, choosing to make it a scavenger hunt?
Yeah, so we, again, just I think kind of like all theater artists were craving to do, craving to create, craving to collaborate. And so I spoke with Vanessah Loxton, who is a new playwright in town. Well, she's not new to town, but she's a new playwright. And James Fletcher, who is an established playwright here in Milwaukee. And they really kind of took the concept, all these little ideas that were like running around in my brain to create this story. And we started, we actually started with a picnic. I think we were going to see if we had like, if everybody could bring up a picnic to, into the living room, right? And gather that way. And then a couple of weeks later, they came back with this beautiful, story about friends and strengths, that we have and uniquenesses that each of us have. So Vanessah and Fletch, worked together really in December. They really kind of put, we started the conversation in November and they put the play together in December, and with some edits throughout January with our actors. We stopped changes last week, right? Right? This with any new work, you're like, okay, fine, Friday. I swear to God, I won't make any more edits.
I feel like we go through 3 phases. So one is like changes, go ahead, bring them. Then there's, you can change things, but you need to check in with the artist who has to do those changes. So like now that actor gets to say, I just can't, like, and then there's the hard line of like, nope,
done.
We're done.
We're done. But yeah, we set out to be a professional theater company. And so we received this really beautiful grant from the FS Foundation. They are based in Minneapolis. And I'll tell you, can I tell you this story? So I got an email from their like program manager. And he was like, hey, we really are interested in Pink Umbrella and we'd like to fund you. And I was like, delete, like, they're like, no, I can't find you on the internet. Like, I have no idea who you are. This seems like spam. So he reached out again a couple of weeks later. He's like, hey, I'm not sure if you received my initial email, but like, we'd like to give you money. And I emailed him back. I'm like, okay, I'll bite. I can't find you on the internet. I don't know anything about your foundation. So if you could like vet yourself a little bit, that would be great. He was like, you are the first person to do that. And I was like, I'm not giving you any of my information without an exchange here. So I wound up meeting with him and their grants manager, and we just had a lovely conversation. And they were like, what is in your brain for Pink Umbrella? So I rattled off a whole bunch of stuff, and they said, send us a proposal. And then they came back with a very generous amount of money so that we could pay all of our actors. We could buy all of these fun little items, do the shipping. And so we really wouldn't be here without the FS Foundation, like in this space and time, and everybody, and like you said, everybody gets a check, right? Like that's right now, like that seems so big to be able to say, we're paying you for your art. Let's do this, right?
Yeah, that fills my heart to hear you talk about it. I know that there's also a shadow side to the sense of responsibility that comes with funding. Like, or maybe it's just me, but it's similar to you deleting the email where sometimes there's this like, oh no,
yeah,
now we need to shepherd this wisely.
Yes.
Or we must make sure we don't squander this opportunity.
Right.
So along with the joy comes a little bit of like, hope we get this right. So the packets are beautiful. You did a beautiful job. I'm excited for this. I know one of the things I'm eager to talk with you today and maybe it has a lot to do with sort of the things you rattled off with the foundation in your call to them, is like when we incorporate a nonprofit, we're sort of signing up for a world of pain, right? Of all kinds of bureaucracy and more paperwork than we ever thought we would manage in our lives, and applications that we submit over and over and over again. And so I would love to hear you talk just a little bit more about the origin story of Pink Umbrella, how you came to be, and what your dreams are. And actually have a specific question related to that as well.
Sure. So it was a long time in the making, right? I worked for a theater company here that, I watched my colleague create a program for individuals on the autism spectrum. And I'll tell you that first week of programming, like, changed us as humans, and really kind of changed the course of like how you look at theater and how it could be done. And, and out of that started back in 2011. And then I went to what is called the Big Umbrella Festival in the Lincoln Center, at the Lincoln Center in New York in April of 2018. And it was there where I sat in the audience and watched this, what's called sensory immersive theater, which is built specifically for young people on the spectrum and with sensory sensitivities. And it's just this beautiful choreographed sights and sound and taste and touch and smell. And one of my colleagues from there, she said to me after the very first play, she goes, I was watching you watch.
Yeah.
Like, you were living your best life. I'm like, yeah, but like everybody did the bubbles, and then we all had musical instruments, and it was just this really beautiful, gentle way of introducing kind of the five senses to a group of young people who struggle, with that. But something happens in the theater, and I think we know this as theater makers. Like, it changes you as a human. There's something that happens in every show that's just it's just a magical breath, right? And why not figure out a way to provide that, for as many people as possible. Also, during my time there, I sat at breakfast with a woman who was like, oh yeah, we have a theater company for adults with disabilities in our city. And I was like, wait a minute, what does that mean? And so I called my husband from the hotel. I was like, okay, so there's this idea that I have, and this is what I think we should do. And he's like, okay, great. When are you going to do it? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'll figure it out, so I did. We just kind of figured it out, and in September of 2018, we became an LLC first, right? Everybody was like, just get your LLC, get out there, do it, because applying for the nonprofit it could take forever. And so we started there, and then we started classes and workshops in January of 2019, and we were going really strong, right? Like, we were climbing those hills and getting out there, and then COVID hit, and it was like, okay, what do we do now? And we figured it out, right? Like, you just, like everybody, we just figured it out. So that's kind of where we came from. But it really came from this call of like 2011, all these students started taking classes, and they all grow up, and autism and Down syndrome, and our diagnoses don't go away at 18 magically. And so we've got this whole slew of young people who are now adults who still want to do theater. And I, as a human being, just couldn't let that go, right? I needed to have a place for all those young adults that I had come to know and love, to say, hey, here's a place, right? Like, you're still a theater kid. I'm still a theater kid, and I'm old, right? Like, here's a place. Let's continue to play and collaborate. So that's really where Pink kind of came out of. And
I love hearing about the steps on the journey. And I've already shared with you the story that I had about a performing experience with a different company of adults who identify with disabilities in the Twin Cities. But it was a production that blended all of us, and it absolutely changed my perception, because when you're working with artists who notice things that are different than what you notice, you start to see those things too. So being part of this cast that included so many different people was exhilarating. And I know I came home from every rehearsal full of stories to share with my family. So I'm so excited that now I live in a city that has an emerging company along those lines. So now, Katie Cummings, let's say it's like 2024, like, and we're still here, and the polar ice caps haven't completely melted, and you're You're living your best life and you're building your dreams. Like, what is Pink Umbrella doing? What does it look like, and what's different in Milwaukee?
Sure. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Pink Umbrella by then has an artistic director, business manager, development director who identify with a disability, right? It is fully run by people who identify with a disability. And I will hopefully be there somewhere, but like, you know, in the background. We are producing plays for young people, sensory immersive shows for young people. We are producing our own work. We are telling and amplifying the stories of the disability community. And I think like the bigger thing would be that every company by 2024 is hiring people who identify, actors who identify, designers who identify, that the dialogue and the conversations in this city with professional theater companies it's very normal. It has become normal by 2024 to have a designer, an actor, a box office manager, a development director in every professional theater company here in the city. That's what 2024 looks like to me.
I love it. Also, I'm impressed with how quickly you answered that. Words just came flowing out.
I don't sleep a lot.
Now, let's drill down. So what do we have to do to make that happen?
Well,
and I have a few thoughts, and it makes me wonder about the pandemic and sort of barriers that have been identified for lots of different reasons that sort of prevent the world of theater from changing, you know. But I would love to hear some of your thoughts.
Well, I think, you know, you mentioned silver linings earlier. Like, one of the silver linings in this is that we have found that people with, you know, transportation, mobility issues, sensory sensitivities, like, this is a grand place to do theater, right? And we're figuring out what Zoom theater looks like. I think that we are still in the baby stages of like, oh, here's some possibilities. And this is, you know, I think a lot for me, I'll speak for me, like, I'm reacting and not necessarily creating, you know, in a lot of ways. And I think that if we were to continue to work in this environment, I think theater will look different, right? And I'm excited about that. I think that conversations like you and I had an offline conversation a few weeks ago of like, how can we incorporate what we do with each other, right? And I wonder too if that's not part of the silver lining in this time and space, is that, you know, you said it earlier, I've had time to kind of sit and learn about other companies and see what other people are doing. And we're sitting in these, you know, the Milwaukee Alliance meeting, Theater Alliance, and Imagine MKE, and, you know, and we are able to connect with one another and really find ways to collaborate. And I think that that's exciting for us. And I think that if we were to nurture those seeds of ideas now, by 2024, again, it'll just be something that is an automatic, you know, like Pink and MOT are doing a show, you know, together, right? Like, and it's just become part of our season. It becomes part of who we are and what we're doing constantly across, you know, and not just between our two companies, but like, I feel like that's happening, you know, in pockets with arts organizations, you know, kind of all over the city.
I do think the necessity of using technology has opened up options for things that we used to not question at all. So like, I know at MOT, we did a show where the flautist had a newborn who she just wore to every rehearsal and put tiny infant earphones on her. And, you know, and very rarely did we like have to stop for a diaper change or something. I mean, we were able to keep working, but that's one of those things that I think even a very short while ago, you didn't talk about. You just didn't do it. You know, like motherhood, very challenging, schedules, very challenging. You know, if you get docked on the rehearsal notes, if you're a minute and a half late for rehearsal, like we just have these strategies for how we put shows together that are very demanding. And I think they keep a lot of exceptional artists from participation because standing under hot lights in high heels and a corset for 12 hours is not going to be a possibility, but that person might have something really special to bring to the role. and it requires like rethinking the whole model to manage it. You know, we ran, you have to run rehearsals differently and build the product differently for who's there. I noticed that, like we've talked about, online work allows us to geographically connect with colleagues around the country and around the world. But one of the things that I think I hadn't paid attention to before the pandemic forced us online is the accessibility of online programming. It's like I received an email last week from someone who has rheumatoid arthritis who just said, I very rarely get dressed to go out. And I was so glad that I was able to participate in this online thing. And I thought, oh, that, you know, we're like always trying to increase accessibility and be an inviting space for people, but it's like sometimes our brains just like they get in their little boxes, and you don't realize that there are tools you could be using to help more people reach your work.
Mm-hmm.
And also people who don't drive at night anymore. You know, like there are so many cases where it's like, oh, if we have an online offering, they can still connect to us and participate in the theater world, even if coming out in a snowstorm is no longer a good option for them. You know?
Yeah. Yes. You and I could probably talk about this all day. I think too, like, do you find, I know that you're supposed to be interviewing me, but do you find too, because our brains are a little muddled, my brain, I'll speak for myself. My brain is incredibly muddled, right? And I don't feel like I have linear thoughts any longer. Like, I think that through line is completely shot. Do you think that on the other side of this, because of these kinds of things that we're learning about, like in a snowstorm, you know, like we've got a 2-week run and it's snowing buckets right here in the city. Like, do you feel like there is a world in which we're like, cool, we cannot drive. Everybody hop onto Zoom and you will see the play, right? Instead of scrambling for like, do we make up the day? Do we cancel? Do we not cancel? Come if you want, you know, like when you talk about the model changing, like, how far is that? How big is that model? Like, how far are we going to go with it when we come back?
I hope pretty far, because I do think I like in my own experience with the conventional model of the rehearsal period, the expectations, the professional expectations, the tech rehearsal, the performance period, right? It was built for specific uses, right? And it has to do with a whole host of competing necessities, right? With 7 different unions working together, with a financial model, with a space model, with expectations that people have about what theater is from the audience's point of view, like all of that stuff, right? And it's all intertwined and very complicated. So it's sort of like how hard it is to talk about healthcare. You know, that's how hard it is to talk about theater. It's like, right? It's just as convoluted a contraption. But I think we're starting to experiment with different ways to deliver our product. And I'm wondering if it has less to do with reaching more people and with having to do with reaching different people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That it's not just about increasing numbers, but it's about making sure that we're including
everybody.
Yeah. Yep. Just that.
Everybody.
Just that. But, and even the behavior stuff. Mm-hmm. Like we think about all the shushing and turn off your phones, don't take that picture. Like we scold each other a lot in audiences. Mm-hmm. That can be so, it's like that can be so challenging for someone who responds in a different way, right, or who uses their voice differently. So.
Right. Yeah. Oh my brain was just like, I see spaces. I think like part of what we have to do kind of as a company is think outside of the box anyway, you know, and our, even in the adult shows or the shows that are performed by adults for adults, in my brain, there's still space to meander and walk around and get up and stand and, you know, and do what you need to do to regulate as a human being, right, as you're watching. And maybe it does mean that you have to be on your phone because that's the way that you can concentrate so that you can hear everything that's happening on stage, you know, and how do we, you know, and as a patron sitting next to that person who has to scroll through, you know, like, Are they going to understand that this person needs this, and so how do we talk about, all of
that's the delicate dance of like, where does your comfort zone start to shrink my comfort zone?
Yep. Yep.
But I think a lot can be done. You're reminding me of, I went to an 18-hour show in Chicago, 12-hour show. I'm trying to remember. It was like all of the Greek tragedies by the hypocrites. Anyway, it was like, there were 2-hour meal breaks or 1.5-hour meal breaks, but they also had a space for standing. Like they had it sort of separated with velvet ropes. So it's like, you need to get up from your seat and you just want to like stand for a 30-minute part of the show or a 45-minute part of the show. Like, here's the place where you can comfortably do that. They had snacks. Yeah.
But some people need that in a 2.5-hour show or a 1.5, or a 45-minute show, right? So like, let's make that standard. Let's just, again, normalize it so that it's not it's just part of the experience.
Yeah. It's like a tolerance of all of the, all of our individual quirks, regardless of where we are in ability, age. It's one of my favorite things about working intergenerationally, which is another, like when we have the very young and the very old in the same production, like really interesting things happen. And you see in the rehearsal space, over time, people assume different roles for each other as like helpers and buddies. You know what I mean? So they'll be like the person who just is right there to repeat something for the person who is hard of hearing, or like they fill the need, they perceive the need, they fill it, and they're like helping each other through rehearsal. And it's like such a gorgeous thing to see.
It's beautiful.
So, well, thank you so much for sharing yourself and your thoughts. Is there anything else, back to your thing? Should we circle back to the thing?
We probably should.
So,
we probably should.
I mean, we're taking on the whole industry and the world of theater itself.
We'll fix it all. No, we're not going to fix it all, but we're certainly going to change the dialogue about it. Yeah. So the thing, so this weekend, if you want to see it this weekend, I have one ticket available for a local human household, and animal household too, Saturday at noon, because I will need to drop your packet off. But we have 15 seats available for the remainder of the run, which is next week, Friday night, Saturday, 2 shows on Saturday, and then we have 1 show on Sunday right now. But if we need to, we can open up another show on Sunday. And I, we just love to have people there, right? Like somebody asked me the other day, well, does my son or daughter have to identify with a disability? And I said, no, our tagline is accessible theater for all. Right. So there's no requirements. There's no requirements for anything that we do here at Pink. And there's certainly not any requirements for, individuals, only individuals identifying with a disability to come and see our work. But it's grand fun, and it does make your house just magic for 45 minutes, So if you're looking for something fun to do, just come hang out with us.
You better sell that one ticket.
I know. I hope so.
Someone better buy that now. Go buy that one ticket.
Get online. I'm dropping packages off this afternoon. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. It's such a joy to talk with you. I can't wait to work together in the real world.
We're going to need to make that
and the online world. Both. Let's do both.
Yeah, I would agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie Cummings. Yeah. Jamie Lynn might be working. There she is.
Yes, she is.
I thought working. I was like,
She got up and laughed. She's like,
I said I'm always working. I've got a Pink umbrella student here that decided to join. She's sitting on like the footstool thing.
You did tell her to go get a small chair, so I have to say, she did.
She made she made it happen, right? But I think she heard Katie's voice and just needed to like be here.
Hi, Aurora.
So, boo. Yeah. Great conversation, you two. Just, I knew it was going to be a great one. So, I'm so excited to hear about all your ticket sales. I think that's fantastic. You're totally going to sell out. It's going to be great.
Oh yeah. You get treats.
I know you get
Things come in the mail.
Yeah. Come on now. All right. Well, we will see
This
you
one smells really good.
tomorrow. We will see. We're going to see the show tomorrow at 2. So we got it.
I'm excited.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So proud of you, Katie.
Yes. Much love.
It's a huge achievement. It's huge.
Big.
You're going to make me cry. Thank you. Exactly. No sleep.
It's so hard.
You're the
So
awesomest.
hard.
You're the awesomest. You did it.
Emotions right under the surface. No, it's I think that the actors and the writers and the designers, like it just it just all comes together, and it's a lot of work and it's a fun show. It's
I'm excited.
and I'm super proud
You're
too.
excited. We're excited. See you tomorrow. Get some rest. Break legs tonight.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
It's so good.
Cool. I am so, as I said, it's not all about me, but I am so grateful for my city that we have a company like that, because I've been longing for that since I moved back here. Like, because I have had the experience of living in a city that has a killer company of artists who identify with a disability and work as professionals in the visual and performing arts. And so it makes a difference.
It does. It does. Just, honestly, the conversations that have been started and working on the Milwaukee theater standards with the Milwaukee Theater Alliance and having Katie Cummings involved with that process has been a game changer. And part of the reason why those theater standards will be absolutely imperative to this city going forward. And I'm really excited to share that with the community as soon as we can. Yeah.
As soon as we can breathe near each other.
No, I mean this is something that will be started.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yep, not the word. You mean this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Should we talk about just a couple of other things that we've got? Yeah. Let's do that.
I love having Aurora on. She's a terrific co-host.
You are the best. I just wish you would have gotten the higher chair so that we could have you up a little bit higher. So
you need like the hairstylist chair where you can just like eat.
Yeah. Where's my info sheet? Optimist Theater has their No Holds Barred, the Pericles Project going on right now. It's every other Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. until April 7th. That's Pericles, like the Shakespeare Pericles. And it's a video project that they put together that's pretty awesome. So you can go to noholdsbarred.org for that one. The Constructivists, just real quickly, we still have Eliza on the Ice, which is a brand spanking new play by a hot up and coming playwright, Josiah Thomas Turner, local awesome playwright who is at the University of Texas at Austin right now, getting his MFA. One of the best theater programs in the country, frankly, for all of the arts focuses. So you can check that out on our YouTube channel. You can go to theconstructivist.org to check that out. Really, really great, interesting piece with lots of things to chew on, as we always do.
How long will that be up, Jamie Lynn?
That will be up until the end of his semester, or he writes a new draft, whichever comes first. So just watch it.
Got it.
Because it might just disappear. I mean, we'll give you the heads up, like, hey, Josiah's writing new things, so wrap it up here. So yeah. And then lastly, but certainly not leastly, a show I am seeing this evening.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you'll be there.
Yeah. So, Milwaukee Opera Theater has this thing. Do you want to tell us about this thing that you told us about last week?
Well, I don't want to take up too much time.
No,
Distance commissions. This one is a online soiree, so it's like a party in your home, but on Zoom. So we're trying to blend digital programming with a community experience, or has a social dynamic to it. So we have commissioned an 18-minute musical by Matt Zembrowski with a 3-person cast, and we filmed it using tools that we had at our disposal in our homes. So an assortment of iPads, iPhones, and unreliable internet. And it was beautifully edited together by our director, Katie O'Donnell. And then say it again.
Who was here with you last week?
Yes, she was. Thank you. And then we chat about whatever we feel like talking about. We're trying to recreate sort of the casual conversations that occur in lobbies, and had no idea if that format could work at all when we embarked on this last week, and have been so pleased with the feedback and the genuine warmth and the stories that people are sharing, and how many friends have connected with each other that didn't expect to see someone at that performance, but ended up like emailing an old friend or setting up another date. Like, this has just been really great. So I think when I looked this morning, we had 12 tickets left for the rest of the run.
Yeah, you are also super close to selling out, because that is also a limited.
Yeah, it's only 18. 18 devices at each performance.
Okay. That's it. That's what you get. So get on that, is what I have to say about that. So you can go to Milwaukee Opera Theatre.org for that. I just have to point out that everything that we just talked about is original content by women-led companies. I just want to point that out as well. So.
It's not risk-averse content. I don't think either.
I don't know. I think that Milwaukee is doing. Rora's decided that we're done. We're gonna say goodbye soon. Milwaukee's got great things going on, and I think the rest of the world should be jealous.
I also think we're responding to the moment we're in. Yeah. Like I know for me, it felt like we're in a very strange place as Americans, as humans. So let's just write things that make sense right now, instead of trying to take something and sort of plop it into this moment.
Yeah. I should mention too, Milwaukee Chamber Theater's Young Playwrights Festival starts next week. They will be our guest next week.
Woo-hoo.
So as long as a Katie Cummings can host next week after her brain relaxes, they will be with us next week. You can find links to all Milwaukee Theater Alliance companies and what is going on with the Milwaukee Theater Alliance at MilwaukeeTheatreAlliance.org. So, thanks, Joanna. I know that you're working hard over there too. So I thank you every time that you can make space.
I know when to take my cue.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all out there for joining with us. When you can, share this with your friends. We really enjoy this stuff over here, so we hope that you enjoy it as well. And we'll see you next week on You've Got a Thing!